Bases dropped on another edition of Soccer Down Here. It's a Wall Pass Wednesday, so that means that pretty much anything is on the table, and we'll get into it here in just a little bit. And when it comes to things to talk about, we do have some things to discuss. We do have the decision that came down from the disciplinary committee yesterday on Marcelino Moreno, so we'll get into that. And and I wanted to take that philosophically and kind of work our way, not necessarily just once again yelling into the ether about it, but try to be constructive about what we can do going forward with how do we make things better instead of sitting there and seemingly banging our head against a wall when it comes to what's going on with Pro and DisCo. We've got that. We've got some stuff in Charlotte going on, a couple different things, and obviously, looking at Willie P. Styles' preparations for a friendly between Chelsea and Charlotte, that's got to be a fun thing for Willie P. and Jess to be able to sit there and figure out a board and how you're going to try to call that match. That one's going to be a fun one for both of them. And then we'll get into other things that are dancing around our heads: departures in Charlotte, grass in Charlotte, signings for both colleges and for the twos. We'll get into that stuff. And we do have the financials for tours, and we'll get into that considering the end result of one of the matches last night in South Florida with Inter Miami and Barca. And obviously, then we'll have other stuff to fill out your time. Dylan Butler, as a reminder, programming reminder, he will join us later on the show or on the network, and we'll discuss pretty much a lot of the same things that are going on the week that was, the week that will be, those kinds of things. So, Jarrett Smith, you had a late night last night. What did you go see again? What was the concert of choice?
That was Alkaline Trio and Coheed and Cambria at the Roxy. It's the first show I've been to since the pandemic, so that was fun. But yeah, it was like, despite that, like getting dinner ready and going through, like that was fun. Getting like cooking salmon and then looking at the phone to see like, oh, Marcelino Moreno got fined. That's fun.
Yeah.
Look, man, like if Pro's gonna do that, then that weekly sheet needs to be chocked full. Because it just feels like they're picking and choosing, and they're just so maddeningly inconsistent about it all.
Yeah. And before we get into that, it is time for the morning kickoff. The opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. And you can follow them on the social medias, on the Bird app, the FaceSpace, and the Gram, Kickoff Coffee CO on those. Once again, thanks to everyone who has invested in Kickoff Coffee. And reminder, when you invest in Kickoff Coffee, use the code SoccerDownHere15, and what you get is 15% off your purchase price. But reminder, 10% of the proceeds head toward youth development. So very, very cool stuff there. Soccer Down Here 15, and you get to invest in the youth development aspect of the game. You get to invest in the game that we all love to talk about here on a daily basis in various functions and forms. And so, Jarrett, I want you to keep your microphone open because I've got it this morning, and it's just something that literally has confounded me in the last. Well, I was going to say the last 45 minutes to an hour or so, but it is something that has consistently confounded me, and I'm going to petition for an answer. If anyone has it, if anyone has an answer and can explain this to me, I would love to hear what it is. So, Jarrett, here's my situation. I will openly swear by the philosophy of having a weighted blanket on my bed. It was something that, last Christmas, I thought it would be a good thing to get for the boss because, she's a bit of a restless sleeper sometimes. And so in wanting her to get as full a night's sleep as humanly possible, I invested in a weighted blanket. And it has turned out to benefit the both of us, actually, when it comes to having it on the bed at night. And I find that I get to sleep a little more than I have in the past, and so this to me, it's a good purchase. But here's the layout of the bed that we have. It is, pretty standard. It's sheet, blanket, weighted blanket. And every single morning, I literally have to take, and it's a Wall Pass Wednesday, and that's why I'm addressing this topic today and not any other day of the week. I literally have to take an additional 10 minutes out of my day to remake the bed every single time. And let me explain. The sheet ends up going completely in one direction. The blanket on top of the sheet goes the absolute opposite direction. But in every single day, the weighted blanket stays where it is. Everything underneath it moves completely one direction or the other, and I have to remake the bed every single day. Not that you shouldn't make your bed every single day, but the mere fact that the weighted blanket, which is on top, it is the top layer on the bed, stays absolutely static still while the sheet and the blanket are going opposite directions and the weighted blanket is staying the same. It has confounded me, completely and totally confounded me, and I don't quite have an answer for it. So if anyone can understand or knows the physics of beds and blankets, please let me know, because it's driving me crazy. And I have to do the same routine every single morning. Get ready for the show, get up, get out of bed, make the bed, fix the sheets, fix the blanket. Weighted blanket's just kind of sitting there staring at me going, you don't need to work anything with me. This is what I'm facing every single day. I don't know if I'm alone in this, Jarrett. I don't know if I am part of a fraternity or sorority that I didn't know about until today, but it was just something I had literally on my chest and thought that I would address it because I don't have an answer for it.
No, I don't have one myself. Generally, mine is a life of chaos because every morning I'm greeted by a 5-year-old coming running into the room and basically getting swatted by a 5-year-old, coming in and doing a no-knock warrant on my room.
There you go.
So it's a different animal for me, but I don't handle issues with the concept of a giant weighted blanket or all that jazz, and so I can't help you, but I invite anyone who understands the physics to do so.
Yeah, and so that was, like I said, that to me was just a question that has stuck in my head, and I don't have an answer. And I was wondering if anybody else had the answer involving the physics of bedding and why a weighted blanket decides to sit there and laugh at me every single morning after getting a night's use. But anyway, reach out to me on Twitter at Soccer Down Here at OSG Nelson, and just let me know if you guys have any thoughts as to why I'm confounded as much as I am. So there you go. That's your
confounded for that is different from being confounded by sports, because be it soccer or the South Swing through South Central Georgia for high school football, we're all confounded by different things.
That is absolutely true.
Or the people from when you do Corky Kell, where you get Toombs County rolling up here and a bunch of people who don't know that Toombs County exists, much less where it is, and the hellfire they can rain upon your life and those around you.
Yes. And
because it is a plentiful chaos that they are capable of.
Yeah, especially when they go up against Vidalia in a rivalry game out there.
Ooh.
Region 2AA, I believe. So yeah,
I just love when they show up and you get schools from the north side of Atlanta, the South Central Georgia. Oh,
excuse me, sir.
You don't understand.
No, it's we're getting there too.
You ain't about this life.
No,
that's okay.
Yes.
No, it's not your fault that you're not about this life, but you ain't about it.
No, and here's your learning experience, by the way, and we'll get back to you in a couple of hours. A couple of things on the table this morning. And you addressed it before we got into the morning kickoff, opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffee.com, and Kickoff Coffee CO on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Soccer Down Here 15 is your code to get 15% off, and the boss really does like the deep roasted Italian blend that is part of Kickoff Coffee. And don't forget, 10% goes to youth development. That's your morning kickoff for the day. But yeah, as you were discussing, once again, the DisCo has decided.
Yeah, let's say make sure it's DisCo in this case.
Yeah, that DisCo has decided that Marcelino Moreno got an undisclosed fine for his actions in the match against Orlando late in the first half. And here's how it was called here, courtesy of our friends of ABC and Major League Soccer.
A bit more, especially when they're in that low block. I think that man, angry, chomping at the bit. You may see the Joseph Martinez that Atlanta United saw in the first 3 years. But I think Gonzalo Pineda handled it perfectly because he had to do something to win that locker room. And I think Joseph Martinez's comments after that loss to Austin were ill-timed, and the right move was made from Gonzalo Pineda.
Oh, it's Moreno who looked to throw himself and tried to persuade the referee to give a penalty. And if it's not a penalty, there's a case for a yellow card for simulation. A closer look at that in a moment. The referee is not allowing the restart just so that VAR can check this.
Yeah, well, the question is whether or not Kyle Smith uses force to pull down Moreno. Does he pull him down inside the box? Now, is he pulling down there?
He collapses under his own weight, doesn't he?
Well, so here's my question. If that's not a penalty, that's a dive for embellishment, isn't it?
That's embarrassing, that's what it is. But yes, it should be a yellow card for simulation.
Kyle Smith has his hand on his shoulder, but you don't even see a tug in the video of trying to pull him back.
The crowd, as you can hear, have their own opinion as the check is deemed complete. Now Atlanta do win a free kick.
So that was the play. And, I'll pull back the curtain a little bit. I thought it was a penalty. And I have, as we get ready for the halftime highlights and Five Stripes Live at Mercedes-Benz, I have a big monitor that's in front of me. And I'm literally looking at it from about 9 different angles. And I'm going, how is that not a penalty? And we'll get into the context of an earlier call in just a little bit. But how it wasn't a penalty in first and foremost, and then DisCo decides, okay, it's an undisclosed fine for you. And so I was once again confounded by DisCo and what they thought is worthy of a fine and what the ref on site and the referee crew on site plus VAR thought was not worthy of a particular call the other way. And I thought that you had yesterday and today, I thought that you had an interesting perspective on it.
Yeah, so I mean, this was an interesting one in the sense that, like, you get the call of it's no foul given, and then they go back and check for VAR. I thought they handled it the correct way. Was losing my mind like everyone else when Aiden McFadden tried to throw that ball in pretty much instantly. I'm like, don't do it. Hold the ball for a half second before you throw it in so that they have a chance to look at it. And eventually, Rivas pulls it back. Basically, cancels the throw in so that he can take a look. Thought they handled it really well on that front. And, then they look at it. They don't give the penalty. And I'll tell you, for me, I'm fine with not giving the penalty there because I thought the contact wasn't malicious in the box. Like, it wasn't as bad in the box. If anything, give a free kick there because, yeah, he's getting physically pulled back at the edge of the box, but it's outside the box.
But I admit I was looking at continuation, to use the basketball term, where
that's fine.
The contact is continuing and the action is continuing inside the box, and then Marcelino Moreno hits the turf because, once again, similar to a play in Fort Lauderdale where, Brooks Lennon pretty much got the same reception from the disciplinary committee for his actions, and the center ref at the time thought that Brooks Lennon was diving, basically. That was how I was viewing it as well. You're still seeing swimming going on, and you're still seeing contact going on, and Marcelino Moreno finally hits the deck because of momentum and contact. That's why I thought it was a penalty, but I understand your point of view.
And for me, I think, Marcy does go down easy. I think he does for sure. But I think he's going down easy there because it's a sequence where he's getting fouled for a couple seconds consistently with no whistle. And at that point, he's trying to make a point because he just keeps on getting pulled back. And then he finally does go down. And it's one of those where I'm kind of like, live and let live with it, because it should have been a free kick. Rivas doesn't give it. Moreno does a great job getting around the defender, gets inside of him. He's getting pulled back. It should have been an insanely dangerous free kick from right on the edge of the box, right against the touchline, like a really tricky free kick to potentially deal with. And instead, what you get is, you get this situation where it should have been a free kick. They don't give it. Okay, whatever. You can't. That's fine, because you can't go back and referee the game, and I don't want VAR to be that anyway. I don't want VAR to go back and re-referee the game and give a free kick in that moment. I'm fine with not giving the penalty because I thought there was a little continuation, but it wasn't. To me, it wasn't enough to warrant a penalty on review. That being said, it just feels, frankly, kind of feels antagonistic to pop them with a fine in a situation where you screwed up the call in the first place.
Yeah.
And then you just decide, okay, we didn't get the free kick call. That's fine. He goes down easy in the box. He's trying to make a point because he'd been getting fouled for, 5-10 feet. Now you're going to throw the fine at him, basically on top of the fact that your ref missed the call. This is fine. I see no way that this is going to make people mad or cause problems. Because, again, if they wanted to, they could drop a fine like this on pretty much, one or two people a game for going down easy, for embellishing contact. It's one of those things. This has been my beef with every time this comes out, and it's not just Atlanta, because they've done this with a number of teams, and they've done this for a while with the punishments. Just show some consistency.
Yeah.
If you're really gonna start fining people for embellishment like that, then start fining all of them, with just picking and choosing which ones you want to fine. Just over that. It's exhausting. And and you know what? You got some fans, because I know my mentions are full of it. You got some Atlanta fans who got a complex about it now. Yeah. Because Marcelino Moreno's third in the league in fouls, I think. Second or third in the league. I know he's third in the league in completed dribbles. Reynoso is far and away the most volume dribbler in the league. I think he's got over 100 successful dribbles this year. It's something stupid. But Marcelino Moreno gets fouled a lot in this league, and you're going to start dropping fines on him and other guys like him. Just feels like you were picking one hell of a fight to have. And Atlanta fans are going to have complexes, and I'm sure that this will just create a vicious cycle where, Mothership Digital Media continues to kind of poke the bear with Atlanta fans a bit. And it's a wholly unnecessary vicious cycle that seems to continue.
All right. So and this is just off the top of my head, and I'm trying to find the empirical evidence and see if it exists as to how many different players and how many different times Atlanta United has had these retroactive DisCo judgments for things like this. Marcy, Brooks Lennon this season, Barco on multiple occasions. I want to say PT was also a part of this, and that's just off the top of my head going back a couple of seasons. So, and I can understand definitely why, Atlanta United fans would sit there and go, okay, this is selective enforcement. When, if you really wanted to get into it, to your point, we could go back to earlier in the first half of this match where you have an Orlando player already going down. You get the foul call, which results in the free kick, which results in the goal. And we've talked about Rivas and the issues associated with that, all week long. But the idea about you should be able to call, or you could call this a couple different times a match, every single time out. That pre-existing example that led to a set piece, which led to a goal, should be first and foremost in everybody's mind, where you're sitting there and you're going, hey, let's look at this and see what the deal is here. I mean, I don't think I'm talking out of school.
Yeah, all of it feels unnecessary. Like it feels like it's almost antagonistic sometimes, because you could pick better situations to figure out how you want to go about these punishments, it's just, you gotta, pick something. If you're going to do these fines, you can pick more than 3 a week.
Yeah.
Or I think it was just 1 or 2 a week. 1 a week. It was only one that was on that list this week, because one of them, I was thinking there were three incidents that required fines. One was Tati for hands to the neck and face.
Yeah.
Which, it's a day that ends in Y. Of course Tati did that. Why wouldn't he? I mean, it's just kind of who he is at this point. And it looks like that was going to be his last game for New York City. But the fact that it's occurred more than once, and I love Tati, don't get me wrong, the fact that y'all had to go back and do it more than once, why the hell are your refs not watching him closer?
Mm-hmm.
Because if it warrants that kind of fine, hey, maybe watch a little closer, guys. If it's a repeat offender kind of thing on that front.
Yes.
Because you've got that, then you've got you also had a not leaving the field in a timely manner fine. Those are always fun.
Was it Kamar Miller for?
I believe so.
For Montreal, I believe. So yeah, the disciplinary committee. Castellanos is fined, hands to the head, face, neck of an opponent, fined an undisclosed amount. Marcelino and Kamal Miller guilty of failure to leave the field in a timely manner with 10 minutes to go, with Montreal leading Toronto. So then Miller was fined an undisclosed amount. So yeah, it was those 3 this week in fines from DisCo.
Yeah, and so it's just frustrating, because you get another fine. And like I said, did I miss? If you get to the point, you're getting to the point now where people are getting a complex about it, because you keep popping guys for these fines, and it's not a uniform process, and it's almost like a pick and choose thing where, of course they kind of feel like they're getting singled out, because that seems to be the way it looks, that they're getting that, you've got Atlanta players getting singled out. So of course you start to get fans with a complex about this. It doesn't take a lot to give a fan a complex, or a fan base a complex, I should say, when you get them into large numbers like that. It doesn't take a lot to get them in that mindset. And now it feels like you're kind of there, because this was the only one y'all published. I'm sure there was other embellishment around the league last week, but y'all picked that one, and you picked it that the only reason you're in that situation is because your ref blew the call in the first place leading up to it, and he's just trying to make a point.
Yeah.
And if you want to argue he should have stayed on his feet and he shouldn't have thrown his feet out from under himself, okay, that's fine. I'm here to listen to it. That's fine. But you're only here because the ref didn't do his job efficiently before that, which has been an issue not just with this, but around the league in times where when we see things boil over because a ref is not doing their job, is not communicating efficiently, is not calling a consistent game, is not setting the line. Man, there's just a lot to unfold about it.
Yeah, and that
I'm
was
going to stop.
Oh, no, but that was why I wanted to kind of ask, how do we address this cause and effect here between pro decisions and DisCo coming in behind and showing iniquity when it comes to doling out retroactive punishment. And you were getting into the second follow-up question here from the Department of Redundancy Department. How do we better this situation involving their activity on the field and giving DisCo less to do, or if DisCo has things to do, make sure that it is legitimately stuff that is, so egregious, instead of sitting here and nitpicking and going, yeah, well, we could have done that, but we're going to do this. How do we make this situation better to where we're not having these kinds of events every single week, where a fan base, regardless of where they are, doesn't have to feel like they're being singled out? Because I can guarantee you, NYCFC, and this is, just from this week, NYCFC fans, I can guarantee you, will sit there and look at, Tati Castellanos in Hudson River and try to, and wonder why he was, when there could have been incidents that were close to it. So, I don't want to necessarily single out what we're seeing from Atlanta United, but I wanted to give the Moreno incident context, considering what we saw earlier in the match that wasn't called, but you call the Atlanta United incident. And then you have Tati Castellanos, who, I'm sure he wasn't the only one in that instance. But once again, you look at, hands to the face of, hands to the neck and face of Tom Barlow. And, you're wondering, how do we address this to make it more even-handed across the board? And I'm looking at the Castellanos element. I'm looking at the Castellanos incident as it was brought up by Major League Soccer. And it's ridiculous. You literally have Tati Castellanos, and Jarrett, I will be here sitting in the church of Tati for this one. Literally, Tati Castellanos takes his right hand to Tom Barlow and gives that open-handed little pop to the chin. It's like, yeah, I understand what you're saying or whatever, and you just kind of pop the guy twice. He pops him on the cheek twice. That's the fine. That literally is the fine for Tati Castellanos, for sitting there and just kind of sitting there going, yeah, I get it. And you go, pop 1, 2. That's the fine. Seriously, that's what the fine was. How about some perspective here when it comes to administering punishment and understanding the heat of the room? I think that, and if you're going to do stuff like that, then you've got to card him, and you've got to do other things to bring the temperature down. But to do something, and to me, I know that to me it seems ticky-tack, where you sit there and it's like, it's like like we used to see in your stereotypic Italian mafia family movies, where you sit there and it's like you're trying to sit there and you make a point and you sit there and you hit the consigliere on the cheek twice. It's like bang, bang, and then you're done. I just looked at the video again, and I'm like, that's what got him the fine? It just... at times it stuns me what we see sometimes when it comes to DisCo working its way backwards.
Yeah, a lot of it just seems unnecessary with the way it's all handled. So we'll see what they do next time. I'm sure this isn't the last time we'll have this conversation about everything going on with DisCo, and yeah, I don't know, man. The only good news, you're looking for good news in all of this?
Sure.
Yeah, if you're looking for good news, there's no suspension that comes with it, so Moreno's available. Now, whether or not you start him in the next game or however you want to run things out there, at least he wasn't suspended. So that's good news. So we can run with that. So we got something to be happy about. You can be disappointed with that one, and I know I am. I was disappointed with the decision, but that is what it is. Now all you can do is is move forward and get ready, because now you have a very difficult game where you have to go out to the West Coast, play late at night against an LA team that is kind of melting down around themselves. It's fun. The Galaxy have tried so hard for the last few years to still be the Galaxy that we've known and loved for so long, and it's not really working.
Winners of 2 of their last 10, 2-6-2, and we'll get into that on Friday on the weekend whip around. Patent pending, trademark coming, hopefully. All right, let's go to Charlotte and a couple of different things.
Let's go to Charlotte.
Let's go to Charlotte. But first and foremost, let's talk about the stuff that is off the field. And as of yesterday, another Tepper Sports and Entertainment executive, more than 2 months after their CEO has stepped down, somebody else is out the door. WCNC, NBC 636 confirmed that Mark Hart resigned as the company's chief operating officer effective Monday. Reason for his departure wasn't immediately known. CNC asked for more information. They haven't gotten it yet. Hart's departure marks the latest exit from David Tepper's company back in May. You'll remember Nick Kelly left his post as CEO just 3 months after assuming the role. Company said that Kelly stepped away after helping launch Charlotte FC and serving as team president. Those executive-level exits are not the only ones, but they come amidst the fallout, remember, of the canceled Panthers practice facility project. Say that 10 times fast. Panthers practice project in Rock Hill, just over the border in South Carolina. Back in March, David Tepper paused construction work at the site. The fallout includes a government lawsuit involving the county against Tepper's companies in the city of Rock Hill. One of Tepper's companies has fired back with a complaint in Delaware bankruptcy court, calling for a declaratory judgment and relief. A judge has greenlit a $20 million loan from one of Tepper's companies to another to finance the failed project's debts. So we'll keep and that's the first element in all of this. And so you have Tom Glick, you have Nick Kelly, and now you have the third one in Mark Hart in short order, resigning from Tepper Sports and Entertainment. Yet another piece of the hierarchy in the front office is now out the door in Charlotte.
Yeah, it's just been so numerous at this point that it's wild just how much Charlotte has lost across the board, even in just the last calendar year. I mean, it feels like it is one after the other. Pop, 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 pop. Just a constant barrage of people, and it's kind of jarring at this point. I don't know what else. I don't know what else you could call it other than it's just jarring how frequently it's happening. Like I said, I don't really have anything else to contribute to that, because and credit to the team, by the way, because like they had a really tough loss against Miami. But before that, they did a number on Nashville. They've responded really well overall after MAR's departure. Better than I thought they would. And the way they've added pieces has been really impressive. Like Charlotte's fun. Charlotte's going to be an interesting watch at the end of the year here, because they're about to run up on the issue that a lot of expansion teams run up on. And that's a lack of depth. It's like, you could start to see it in that game against Miami. Those legs got heavy at the end. It almost felt like they were trying to conserve energy for that push at the end, and they weren't able to do it. But those legs are getting heavy, and you don't have the depth yet to be able to weather that. And that's okay. 99.99% of expansion teams don't have that depth yet.
Yeah.
And you're not expected to. And that's going to possibly hit you later in the season. And you're going to have some games where you win and you're feeling great. And you're going to have some games like that where you just run out of gas, and you're going to have to hang on to the draw. It's just something you got to learn how to do. And, we talked about Atlanta learning how to see the game out. And Atlanta's not an expansion team anymore, but it's a mentality thing. And I do want to see if Charlotte's got that in their back pocket as the season goes on, where they can grind out those kinds of games to get a point here or there, or to hang on to 3 points and avoid dropping points like they did in Miami. It can be a learning experience for them, but credit to them for on the field. But yeah, off the field, the whole Tepper thing is just chaotic as hell, man.
Chaotic is a word for it. Definitely, that is without a doubt how it looks like in Charlotte. And speaking of, we talked about how you have. There are times where you get to do cool things, and Willie P style, Will Palachuk and Jessica Charman get to call tonight the friendly with Chelsea and Charlotte FC. Interesting thing about this, and Jarrett, you found the numbers, so I give you full credit for this. It is not going to be the standard surface that Atlanta United fans see or that Major League Soccer fans see at Bank of America Stadium tonight. It is not going to be that turf. It's going to be grass that is going to be rolled in for this match, rolled up, put away, and put someplace else. I don't know where the grass will be bestowed afterward, but it is basically a grass surface drive-through for Chelsea tonight at Bank of America going up against Charlotte, where grass shows up, grass goes away. And it's another instance where a Premier League side gets to kind of sit there and say, hey, well, we'll come, but you got to do this. Charlotte did that, and it won't stay.
Yeah, and it's reportedly 6 figures to roll in the turf for a couple hours. It just seems excessive, let's call it.
Yeah.
And more power to them, because I hope this does go well for them, because it's a fun opportunity for a young team to get in and bring in a big club to come play with them. So that part is awesome. But yeah, I have questions from y'all. I'm just gonna roll out here and do that, eh?
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right, man. The way field turf, I would be interested to see the way field turf is advancing. I would love to see a comparison, and I don't know where you would go for this, or what sport scientists you would discuss this with. I would love to see a comparison of it. From then to, from 5 years ago even to now, to see the impacts of field turf, because I'm sure it's different. It has to be.
Yeah.
But how much so is it? What is, how much is the mitigating effect? Because those Premier League teams only want to play on grass, and I get that. But what's the effect from now versus 5 years ago of the field turf, as it has changed and evolved?
Yeah, and you wonder how different it would be, and I get the idea of a Chelsea coming over and playing here in the United States, because their season starts August 5th. And I know at the same time that the Premier League teams don't want to go anywhere on tour unless they can make sure that they're going to be 130% healthy by the time they go back. They understand the value of doing these tours, but they don't want to jeopardize anything as they head back. And you've, with all of the money that you've invested in transfers and all these other kinds of things, you don't want those fresh investments to sit there and go, yeah, Koulibaly has hurt a knee or something like that. You don't want that kind of stuff.
No.
On a preseason tour heading back to get you ready for the Premier League. So no, I completely understand it. But to your point, I'd like to see, and I know that there are times when we hear about rock stars and their demands when they have to have a concert. They've got to have certain
show riders.
Yeah, all these show riders. I want to know what the show riders are for Chelsea, for Real Madrid, for Barca to do these tours. I want to know what those show riders are. That to me is that's what I'm hunting for. That's what.
Yeah, give me the most absurd, over the top show riders humanly possible, please. Yeah, give me Premier League show riders. That's what I want to see. I want to see how they differentiate. I want to see how many of it's like, hey, we got a show rider from I don't know, Bournemouth versus Manchester City. What do they look like? How bad is the difference?
Yes. At least I can address things financially when it comes to a couple of tours. Barca, for their 4 matches here in the United States, and we'll get into one of them here in just a bit. Barca gets $10 million for 4 matches. Real Madrid gets $10 million for 3 matches with their preseason tours. And last night, Barca put 6 on the board in South Florida against Inter Miami. I think Memphis got on the board and tried to remind folks, hey, I'm still here. But if
is it bad when you say Memphis? I thought, like, what the hell was 901 Memphis at this game?
Yeah, Ben Pierman
like, is Philip Goodrum scoring? Like, what? Why? Well, why is Philip Goodrum scoring in my? Oh, that Memphis.
Yes,
the one who fell off the face of the earth, man, who was really good.
Memphis Depay, yeah, I know.
Yeah, no, Memphis was really good, man.
Yeah, and so Philip Goodrum scored. Memphis Depay scored one of the 6 for Barca in their 6-0 win, where both the Romeo Beckham and Harvey Neville got minutes last night for Inter Miami, I guess, when it was completely and totally out of reach. So Dad's got to see their...
Yeah, people had problems with that. it's like Phil Neville's like, this is a huge game for us, and you put in his son and Beckham's son. I'm like, wasn't that big for you at that point, was it, buddy? Of course, by that point, it's 6-0, and some of those Barcelona goals were a little too easy.
Uh-huh. So, yeah, one of the biggest matches in Inter Miami history, and the visitors put 6 on the board for you. And, so then say, okay, we'll go ahead and put our sons in so they can go up against Barca. But by the way, have you seen all of the Robert Lewandowski teasing that has been going on social media? And what I mean by that is not people poking fun at Robert Lewandowski for his change of address, but Barcelona teasing the grand unveiling of Robert Lewandowski. And apparently this is going to be happening later today as we're talking. But they're making him, and because he's in Miami, he's in Miami as a part of the rollout here. But they're making him look like Mitch Buchanan from Baywatch, and he's standing in his Barca warm-up suit at these lifeguard. It's the lifeguard houses that each individual lifeguard houses that they have. Every X number of yards down the beach. Literally, it's like they're teasing him, and he's in the Barca warm-up suit on the lifeguard house at some random pier in Miami Beach. They're trotting him out that way so far, leading up to his grand introduction, which is supposed to be later today. And there's a thought that he might be in Vegas, trotted out for a cameo against Real Madrid. But yeah, Robert Lewandowski's being trotted out like it's Baywatch all of a sudden.
I mean, okay. Okay. Good on you, Robert. Hey, he's getting paid. I think I saw he's like a $500 million buyout or something.
Sure, why not? I think he's happy, and if anybody wants to head in that direction, you go for it. You think that you can, you think that you can drop that kind of dime on something. You go right ahead. But I thought it was interesting how they're trotting him out, and it's like, I'm just waiting for him to start running down the beach or something, trying to save people, that are hanging out there in the Atlantic. But it was just an interesting rollout. Looks like that's going to happen later today. 2 notes for Atlanta United that I wanted to get into also before we get into other stuff, before we go news and notes around Major League Soccer. Tony Tiente, it was signed by Atlanta United too yesterday. So what we're seeing from El Tigre has turned itself in from a 25-day deal to a signed contract for the Georgia Gwinnett product.
And good for Tony. Tony's had a lot of hard work he's had to do, because he's traditionally a midfielder. He was an NAIA All-American as a midfielder. He's been having to play on that back line because of injuries they've suffered. And he's had a couple moments that have been tough for him, but he's also had a couple moments where he's been really good. So good for Tony for getting a contract for the rest of the season. Did good work at Georgia Gwinnett College, came out of KSA as well, and it's good to see somebody take that opportunity and run with it. I think you always love to see it where you get a player who is a little bit older. I think he's 24, where they get that opportunity and they do enough to earn that contract for the rest of the year. And and at this point, it's an audition not just for Atlanta, but for the rest of the league, because we've seen guys like Baron Kissiedu and Philip Goodrum make those moves to other USL teams and be very successful. He's auditioning not just for a future with this club, but for a future around USL or, at any other level, be it MLS, USL League One, whatever. You're to the point now where you're making a point that you can do this for a living, and you're trying to prove that you can, and that's awesome.
Yep, and we got to see what Bobby Shuttleworth is up to. He is heading to the college ranks, and he is going to be an assistant coach at Florida State University. And I thought that was cool to see that one get wound up, where Bobby Shuttleworth is added to the coaching staff of first-year FSU head coach Brian Pensky. He hired Aaron Bruner and Bobby Shuttleworth as assistants for the 2022 season. Penske's quoted, "Put together an outstanding coaching staff, well-rounded in a variety of ways. We think we've ticked a lot of boxes with this staff. The youth game where the teaching begins. The national team level, the professional level, coupled with my experience at the college level, we couldn't be more excited to get going, to have the players back in town and let the training season begin." So Bobby Shuttleworth is going to Florida State to be on the staff of Florida State head soccer coach Brian Penske's staff for the 2022 season. So Bobby Shuttleworth, after his time with Atlanta United, heads down to Tallahassee to hang out with Florida State now.
And good for him. I mean, we had heard it. I think it was Felipe Cardenas mentioned he might have something lined up coaching, and seems like he does. And good for Bobby. Like we talked about when he was done, he didn't do enough. He had a shot to grab that first team job, didn't do enough. It wasn't good enough. I'd hoped he would be, because Bobby had a very good career in MLS, and hopefully that kind of could be his last hurrah. So I was rooting for him, but he didn't do enough. And when you brought in more guys, he wasn't going to be a part of that depth chart, and he probably saw it as, okay, now's my time to get out. That was my last hurrah. Now I can start this next phase of my life, which is coaching. So good for him.
Tati Castellanos, since I feel like almost through the remainder of this week, we probably should be discussing the Church of the Almighty Tati, since we've discussed him earlier about an undisclosed fine for hands to the face. It looks like that this weekend will be his farewell match before he heads to Girona. So obviously he's just racking up fines and appearances before he gets ready for the first match of the weekend at 7:00, going up against Inter Miami. So I wonder how much of this is just Tati sitting there. It's like, talking, tapping folks on the chin and all this kind of stuff. How much of this is like, I'm not going to be here, so I'm just going to do as much colorful stuff as I can as I'm heading out the door.
Man, I don't even know if it's that. It's just Tati being Tati. He's just kind of a live wire, and he is a little bit loose in the turns in his behavior sometimes. So I think that was just Tati being Tati.
So next time he goes into the pits, you got to make sure that you're not tied off and loose in. That you got to adjust your handling as you head to Girona.
Yeah, he got to make a couple turns on the wedge, get the track bar adjustment, that sort of thing.
LAFC has acquired midfielder Sebastian Mendez from Orlando City. Orlando gets 300. LAFC is getting Mendez. Orlando is getting 300,000 guaranteed GAM, up to 750,000 with escalators. 2022 general allocation money could receive 225,000 in GAM in 2023. 225,000 in GAM in 2024 if Mendez signs a new deal with LAFC on or before the 2023 roster compliance date. Orlando retain a percentage of Mendez's future transfer fee should he be dealt. Mendez's contract with Orlando set to expire at the end of the 2022 season. So a good piece of business by Orlando. And you have your stock two-sentence positive quote from John Thorrington in a release from LAFC. So Sebastian Mendez, who spent 4 seasons with Orlando, once Scored once in 72 matches, 51 starts, arriving from Independiente del Valle in his home country. And you had the same two-sentence thank you from Luis Muzzi as well. So Mendez is heading from Orlando to LAFC as LAFC is loaning Francisco Janela to Nacional of Uruguay. So LAFC is still very, very busy as we're here in the transfer window.
Yeah, it's a good move for LAFC. It gets them another body in that midfield. Orlando kind of had a surplus there. They get $300,000 for it, which they can reallocate elsewhere if they need to. Everybody wins in that situation. Let's see what he's able to contribute. LAFC is going to be interested to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is them and Toronto FC with the Bernardeschi press conference. So I guess he's now officially official. Bringing in Bernardeschi for that final DP slot. So it's Bernardeschi, Insigne, and Criscito. And I would once again recommend that if you've got the time, go back and listen to the Soccer Over There Down Here crossover episode, where Nick came in earlier in the week and analyzed all of the moves from Serie A into Major League Soccer and is giving folks his ideas on how things could work and the dangers of bringing in these individuals here from Serie A, whether it's age, tread on the tires, those kinds of things. So that's where we are with that. I guess it's time for me to read a promo now, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm in the bunker already. You're good. Go ahead.
So it is time to read the promo, and the promo comes to us from our friends at Eliminize Service for odor-free, clean, fresh air. One place you need to go, and it's Eliminize. Deodorizing enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. Eliminize has created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pets, cigarettes, and food. Realtors and property managers use Eliminize Service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. Eliminize Service offers a turnkey process that makes it easy to work with realtors and property managers. Kind of the environment. We like that these days. Offering a green way to get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than Febreze or other masking agents that we have under the sink of choice, because when you reach under that sink, you spray the masking agent in the air. That's why they call it a masking agent, because all you're doing is masking the odor. You're not attacking the problem all the way down to the molecule like Eliminize does with their proven scientific formula. Pricing's easy, one of two ways, either by the cubic foot of parts per million to come up with a price that's affordable for you, offering results in 24 hours or less. For more information about Eliminize, go to the website, eliminize.com. But do us a favor here at SDH. Go /Atlanta after the .com so they know what part of the world that you are reaching out to them from to end a sentence in a preposition. Your homework assignment, ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, eliminize.com /Atlanta. For odor-free, clean, fresh air, Eliminize Service, proud sponsors of everything SDH. A couple of other pieces of news in Major League Soccer. Nashville Soccer Club has extended the contract of general manager Mike Jacobs, and he has been extended through 2026. So good news if you're a fan of Nashville SC. Dallas on the board. FC Dallas with the sale of Chris Richards to Palace. FC Dallas retained 40% of the sell-on, so they got around $6 million up front, plus the $1.25 million to the original fee. So Chris Richards, according to Tommy Scoops, Tom Bogert, now the third largest transfer in club history. Remember, Ricardo Pepi was at $20 million, Brian Reynolds was at $8.5 million, and so Chris Richards now at $7.25 million. So good news out of Dallas from a financial standpoint, and good news out of Nashville from a player standpoint. Let's go across the pond and get you all the news that you might need to know when it comes to transfers, transfer windows, and all of that kind of fun stuff. And we will also chase through our talks with all of our local sources that know what's going on around the world of soccer. Pep Guardiola has dismissed rumors of Neymar moving to Manchester City from PSG. Reported La Parisienne claimed the forward had been offered to the English champions this summer, and Bernardo Silva was part of a make-weight, allegedly. Guardiola dismissed it. He says, quote, "I'm so sorry for La Parisienne, but it's not true. Sorry for them because the information they were leaked was false. Neymar is an incredible player, and with the information I have, an incredibly nice guy. So leave him calm. Let him express the huge talent he has in Paris alongside Messi. and all the big stars they have. But I would say Manchester City every season bought 150 players. It looks like we are interested in all players around the world. That's not true. I'm sorry for Neymar, of course. So not happening. Nottingham Forest announced the signing of defender Harry Toffolo from Huddersfield. So Toffolo joins Nottingham Forest. Monaco is in talks with Leicester over a deal for midfielder Boubakary Soumaré. The 23-year-old apparently thought to be not a part of Brendan Rodgers' plans for the upcoming season. Keen on discussing a move back to Ligue 1 after joining from Lille in a £17 million deal last summer. Monaco want to bring him back, but they also have two other targets of a similar profile if they're unable to strike up a deal for Soumaré. Chelsea looks like they're going to move back to sign RB Leipzig center back Josko Gvardiol should they fail to sign either Sevilla's Jules Koundé or PSG's Presnel Kimpembe, according to the Evening Standard. Head coach Thomas Tuchel's reportedly urged Bully Clearlake to sign two more top-class central defenders following the £33 million arrival of Kalidou Koulibaly. Chelsea said to be confident they can sign at least one of Koundé and Kimpembe, but regard Gvardiol as the perfect alternative. Leipzig are understood not to want to lose the 20-year-old Croat international, but an exceptional offer could convince them to sell. Of course it would. Chelsea are in talks with Koundé over a £51 million move from Sevilla. France international is believed to have already agreed to personal terms at Chelsea. Sky in Germany reporter Florian Plettenberg is saying that Bayern is targeting Tell, the biggest striking talent in Europe. So not a topic. The two parties in the club, one that says we need the typical striker like Choupo-Moting. Others are like Mane, Sané, Gnabry, Coman. Bayern is pushing for the transfer of Mathys Tell, 17 years old from Rennes. And Bayern are saying this internally, according to Plettenberg. Biggest striker talent in Europe. That's why the reason they're going for him, the reason they want to invest around €25 million or just over £21 million. So keep an eye on Bayern and 17-year-old Mathys Tell. Keep an eye on that one going forward. Alphonso Davies admits Bayern will miss striker Robert Lewandowski, but believes the signing of Sadio Mane from Liverpool will help the void filled by the Polish striker. And it looks like Bayern are likely to keep Sané despite links to Arsenal. That one also, according to Plettenberg. Sky in Germany, according to Plettenberg, looks like they might be chasing after Luis Suarez after the news about Sebastian Aller, who has now been who's been diagnosed with a tumor and is now fighting cancer. The information is that Suarez has been offered to Borussia Dortmund from different agents. Also talk of Sasa Kaladzic, linked to Manchester United, but possibly another for Dortmund as well. Rodri says the team will have to adapt as they welcome the likes of Haaland and Calvin Phillips, but it should bring a change for the better. Rangers defender Calvin Bassey has joined Ajax for a fee that could rise to just under £23 million. Ajax will pay an initial 18.7, but the fee could rise to £22.7 million with add-ons. Rangers have also included a 10% sell-on clause. Fulham close to signing Wolfsburg defender Kevin Mbabu. That one looks like £7 million. Going to be in the country the next 24 to 48 hours, so we'll keep an eye on that. Crystal Palace, West Ham have both approached Burnley over a deal over midfielder Dwight McNeil. 134 Premier League appearances, seen as a prime target because of his experience at top-level football while still being in his early 20s. So the Clarets look like they are likely to demand a fee in excess of £15 million for McNeil if they okay the departure out of Turf Moor and head to either Crystal Palace or West Ham. Mark McAdam on Nottingham Forest. It looks like they're chasing after Huddersfield's Lewis O'Brien in addition to Harry Toffolo, the 26-year-old left back. So we'll keep an eye on what Nottingham Forest is up to. And also, they are in the running for Jesse Lingard. So we'll keep an eye on Nottingham Forest and Jesse Lingard. West Ham are satisfied with the offer they have on the table, waiting for the player to make a decision. Forest put a big number on the board. Lingard's reps have been in talks with at least 4 different clubs, and remember there's also discussions of DC United. Understood the 2 other offers, once again, outside of England. We mentioned DC. So we'll keep an eye. Lingard to Nottingham Forest or someplace else. We'll keep an eye. Manchester City, once again, circling back to Mark Cucurella as Oleksandr Zinchenko is heading to Arsenal. 23-year-old only joined Brighton for around £15 million last year, signed a long-term deal. Nathan Ake, currently at Manchester City, apparently going to stay now, linked to both Chelsea and Newcastle. So could Mark Cucurella be on his way in, as Zinchenko is on his way out to the total of about £32 million. We'll keep an eye on that one as well. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, anything else going on in the papers? And there's Ronaldo is willing to do anything to leave, according to transfer rumors. So, once again, the national nightmare, which has transferred itself over to Cristiano Ronaldo and Manchester United. So he's either leaving or staying. Aren't we all? So we'll see what the latest is with Cristiano Ronaldo today, tomorrow, and every day. Phil Foden, John Stones, Ilkay Gundogan, absent from Manchester City's preseason tour of the USA, contributing to incredible problems for his team. So he's disappointed with the absent players. We'll see how quickly they turn around and rejoin. And we'll see what happens there. Once again, the potential Birmingham buyers are set to meet with John Eustace, meeting the head coach at Birmingham City. Argentina former striker, Maxi Lopez local businessman Paul Richardson arrived to begin their due diligence after exchanging contracts. Eustace signed a 3-year deal, taking his first job as an EFL manager. So we'll have that to look forward to as well. Going through the papers, avoiding the 3-letter and the 4-letter when it comes to all of the info. UEFA, according to the Times, has failed to reach out to Liverpool supporters groups for their experiences at the Champions League final, raising fresh concerns about the review and how everything basically happened the way that it did. Absolute chaos there, and required viewing for the breakdown of it. Cabe Salcahal at Sky did a great walk and talk of about 6.5 minutes, and it's on social media that you can keep an eye on to look at that and see really what happened there at the stadium the day of the Champions League final. From The Guardian, once again, Chelsea close to Jules Koundé, could face competition from Barca. And also, Chelsea prevented Christian Pulisic from answering a question on gun control during their preseason tour of his home country, according to the Times. Hosting an Old Firm match in Northern Ireland was proposed as a means to bolster the peace process, according to government documents that have been released. So we'll talk to Jarrett about that tomorrow. And from the Daily Star, reinforcing Cristiano Ronaldo, thought to be willing to do anything to escape amid fears that Lionel Messi could claim his Champions League goal-scoring record. Daily Mirror, Cristiano Ronaldo could potentially have a move to Atletico Madrid ruined by a couple of recent Chelsea transfer flops, according to the Mirror. And Chelsea attempted to sign Lewandowski from Bayern, according to Joan Laporta. And Arsenal transfer chief Edu has finally managed to get the better of Juve. And the Serie A side has admitted defeat in their pursuit of Gabriel Magalhaes. Xavi will not take charge of his side's first match of the preseason against Inter Miami, once again being denied entry into the United States. It was his brother that was on the touchline for the match in Fort Lauderdale. Timo Werner could lead a clear-out of up to 15 players at Chelsea as the club looked to streamline their playing squad ahead of a new campaign. That's also Daily Mirror. Daily Express, Tottenham could line up a swap deal with Roma in an attempt to get their hands on Nicola Zaniolo this summer. Arsenal have been given the opportunity to secure the signature of long-term target Arthur Melo this summer. Leeds and Everton have been offered the chance to sign PSG defender Layvin Kurzawa this summer. And keep an eye on that. Billy Gilmore will hold talks with Thomas Tuchel over his Chelsea future after dropping down from the first team's tour of the U.S. So we'll keep an eye on Billy Gilmore. And Daily Record has Rangers fans set for a huge Champions League ticket boost for their club's eliminator against Belgium's Union Saint-Galois. So we'll keep an eye on that one as well. Looking at your matches today and what you can follow along with, we mentioned all the qualifiers that were going on in European football. And a lot of that was going on early. Champions League, HJK is going up against Victoria Pilsen. That's at noon. Maccabi Haifa against Olympiacos Piraeus. That's at 1. Dinamo Kiev and Fenerbahce. Interesting one at 2 o'clock. Ferencvaros and Slovan Bratislava in Champions League qualifying. That's at 2 also. Maribor from Slovakia against Sheriff Tiraspol, who's a slight favorite on the road at 2:15. So Champions League, that one is 5 qualifiers today, and more qualifiers are next week in the Champions League as well. You've got Argentina action. You have the CAFA Championship on the women's side in Asia. Europa Conference League is going on. You have three games in qualification. Two of them are at 1 o'clock. One is at 3 o'clock. Botev Plovdiv from Bulgaria against Apoel Nicosia from Cyprus. Vikingur from the Faroe Islands against Streda from Slovakia, and Sucheska, and going up against Klaksvik. So if you know where Sucheska is from, you're a better man than I. So Faroe Islands is busy with two of their clubs going in Europa Conference League qualification. A lot of qualifiers are happening tomorrow, and by a lot, I mean a lot. There'll be a lot of viewing tomorrow for Europa Conference League. That'll pick up tomorrow as well. A lot of friendlies. You've got Scottish League Cup. You've got club friendlies going on in England and Spain, and the Euro at 3 o'clock. England is a plus 106. Your draw is a plus 233. Spain is a plus 263. Also, once again, action in South America. The Costa Rica Primera is at 4:30 this afternoon. Argentina, the Liga Profesional, Estudiantes Barracas Central, and Defensa y Justicia and Independiente is at 6. Brazil has action going on. Liga de Expansión is going on tonight as well. CPL is tonight in Canada. Probably can catch that on FS2 at 7 o'clock. Atletico Ottawa and Valor. USL Championship, a big matchup tonight at 7. Lou City and Phoenix Rising. Lou City, a big favorite at Lynn Family. That one's at 7 o'clock. DC United Bayern is tonight at 7:30. Orlando City Arsenal is at 7:30, and Charlotte and Chelsea is also at 7:30. Those are your friendlies involving teams in Major League Soccer. Copa America Femenil for the women tonight at 8 o'clock. Ecuador, Paraguay, Colombia, Chile. Minnesota United and Everton is tonight at 8 o'clock. More Liga Expansión at 8:05. Argentina and Brazil. Manchester City Club America is going on at 8:30 tonight. Costa Rica Primera, and San Jose Earthquakes and Celta Vigo wrap it up at 10:30, but not before Chivas and León go in Liga MX for midweek action at 10:05. So there is a lot going on. You can also vote for USL Player of the Year. Go to uslwleague.com and vote for your Player of the Year, your favorite Player of the Year in USLW. That voting is up and running as well, and also you can Gareca is out at Peru. So I think that's a lot of stuff to talk about. There's plenty to go. But thanks to everybody who has been a part of the show. Thanks to everybody who has been listening, commenting, and let us know what you think about what's going on in the world of soccer. Very, very busy day here in the midweek, whether it's playing friendlies or playing games that matter, getting you ready for the season overall. Thanks to Dylan Butler, who you'll hear later on the network. Thanks to Jarrett, as always, and thanks to you for hanging out with us here at SDH. I'm just John. Play it safe, everybody. Enjoy your midweek. Mucha plata, y'all.